So today, another topic that I talked about previously came back to mind, and I wanted to re-engage and talk about it today. I'm a little tired, so it might be quite short, but what I wanted to talk about was the difference between happiness and attitude. And I think most of us can recognize the difference, but I want to argue that with your attitude, you can actually see life in a joyous manner, even whenever, oh my goodness, they're going crazy. Sorry about the dogs. But that even whenever you can be joyous, have a joyous attitude, even though you might not necessarily be happy. And my argument is that whenever we say we're happy, whenever most people say they're happy, it's usually because of a chemical state that is being produced within them. So, whenever, let's say, I'm eating ice cream, or I am dancing, or I'm getting hugs from people. There's different neurotransmitters and different. Oh, a good one is whenever you are laughing so hard that you feel like you're in pain, there's endorphins. There's a neurotransmitter called endorphins that are released whenever you're laughing this hard to actually uh, call like to please or to numb, there you go, to numb the pain that's going on, but it's also a kind of feel good chemical that makes you feel a lot better than you might actually would be if you were laughing so hard and your internal organs were convulsing. That sounds like it would definitely hurt if you didn't have endorphins to help alleviate it. And what I try to argue is that endorphins, including our other neurotransmitters, even the ones I don't even know about, but the common ones like dopamine, serotonin, and endorphins, and then there's the fourth one, but I forgot it. But the fourth one. So these, as well as the other neurotransmitters and also other processes in our brain, means that help secrete feel good chemicals, are what we would call happiness. Now, your brain is a complex being, and you're also in a complex world. So there will be times whenever your brain and your body are going to be chemically unbalanced. Another or big part of pleasure and pain is that they're kind of like on a balance. Whenever you press down on the pleasure, your pain, there will be a equivocal reaction of pain that will come afterwards. So these processes in the brain, this balance of pleasure or pain, this is what I call happiness. I call what I see people call happiness. So whenever you have a very pleasurable, let's say I eat a pound of ice cream. Very pleasurable in the moment, but there will be an opposite negative reaction to it later down the line. That's the same with all our happy states. There will always be some reciprocal pain, mental pain that will come with it. Goodness, they're really going at it. So that's kind of my idea of happiness. Now, though we can't always be happy, right? These pleasure and pain balances is these neurotransmitters. They're always balancing and shifting and trying to get back into equilibrium. Um, that's what your organism is trying to do. Jesus Christ. Okay, wait. Okay, sorry about that. They went a little too crazy for me. Hey, so like I was saying, that's kind of how I see the society talking about happiness. Now, like I was saying, this balance goes in between, and there's a lot of times we can't control it, and then it's just the constant equilibrium. But the thing that we can control is our attitude towards our states in life. It's us as observers of our happiness, of our sadness, as of these states. Instead, we can, well, let me also add on that these states of happiness are states of the body. But we have to separate that of the body, of the mind, separate that mind and body from your conscious self. The person who thinks and takes action. Well, thinks isn't a good one, but takes action. The one who self-reflects. And also the one who observes your body and also what your mind is thinking. So these are two kind of different minds. We have the emotional mind and the thinking mind. And the emotional mind will bring thoughts up to you and almost present it to you like a present, whether you like the present or not. And once we practice and once we understand that we have a second mind, our thinking mind, our conscious mind, that can observe these presents, once we practice detaching ourselves and starting to observe more of these presents of sadness, of emotional states, of pleasure and pain, once we're able to start observing it more and more, we are to be able to get control of our attitudes in certain situations. And once we get in control of our attitude, how we respond to different situations, how we don't need to impulsively react emotionally to any situation that might trigger an emotional impulse. Once we're able to detach ourselves more from that, we can start appreciating our life a little bit more. We can start being a little bit more grateful and also more knowledgeable about what is happening with ourselves, reflecting on ourselves, so that whenever we are in depressed or anxious or sad states, we can observe these states, even though they're very powerful and they always seem like they are you. We're able, even for a second, to observe these sadnesses, these depressions, these anxieties. And in our observing, we can choose how to act in certain situations. And for me, this simple act, being able to observe and then act, let's say, joyfully, gratefully, with appreciation and love. I think, for me, I would describe this as true joy is having an attitude that is joyful of this world and grateful of this world, so that you can observe yourself first, separate these emotional impulses, and then act in a way that would be more in line with your values, with the type of person you want to be, an action more aligned with the self you would like to show people. I would want to call this joy. And that's why I wanted to separate happiness from our attitude and joy. Because in our society, we usually lump all of this together with happiness. And that is very misleading to people. And I think whenever you say, or whenever people always say, why can't I be happy? Well, maybe a better question is, why can't I have a better attitude? Why can't I be a little bit more joyful about my life, a little bit more grateful? Because these are things that we have more control over. And also, once we start separating happiness and joy and attitude and start characterizing it in our mind as happiness being these emotional states, being these pleasure-pain balances, pretty much sometimes these things that you can't even control, a lot of times things you can't even control. We can focus more on our attitudes, focus more on our observation, more on working towards being a more joyful human being. And that's it. See you tomorrow.